Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? Today is finally time for me to do my annual video in which I talk about my favourite shows that I saw last year, so in 2017. I've been doing this for the past, I want to say 6 years now. I think the first year I did it was for the shows that I saw in 2011, and then I did it every single year after that, which is ridiculous. But anyway, last year in 2017 I saw a lot of shows, quite a lot of new musicals, and quite a few good plays as well. I wish I'd seen more plays, to be honest. I feel like in 2016 I saw more plays than I saw in 2017, but it's okay, we're going to try and improve that in 2018. In any case, I still did see quite a lot of really good shows that were new to me anyway in 2017. Some of them might have been new shows generally, but some of them might have been shows that have been around before, or new revivals of them. Basically, all the shows that are included on this list are shows that I saw for the first time in 2017. And I thought, as always, I'd just talk to you about them and tell you my top 5. So, if my calculations are correct, and they may be wrong, but in 2017 I saw 16 new musicals. That is incredible, and looking at the list right now, I feel like I generally enjoyed most of these new shows. Like, I don't see any that's popping out to me that was like awful. So it was a really good year in that sense, but also, I'm not gonna lie, I don't see any that's popping out as being incredible either. I don't think I fell in love with a new musical in 2017. There were some that I saw that I really liked or even loved, but none of them were like, oh my god, I love this so much kind of show. Also, in terms of plays, I only saw 3 plays. So I saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child back in, I think it was January time or February time, so beginning of the year. And then I saw Once in a Lifetime, also in January, thanks to my friend Rukaya, who had free tickets for it. Also a pretty good show. And I saw The Kite Runner as well, which I think probably was my favourite of the 3. I mean, Harry Potter is excellent in terms of like the effects that they use in it, and as a production is amazing. But I think The Kite Runner I just really enjoyed because I love the story and thought it was done very well. I also went to the Edinburgh Fringe for the first time, but I was only there for a couple of days. I mainly went to see my brother. He was in a little show, a dance show, so I didn't get to see much when I was there. I think I only saw about 2 or 3 things apart from my brother's show, so I'm not going to list any of those. But yeah, 3 new plays and 16 new musicals. I'm going to quickly go through the list of musicals that I saw for the first time in 2017, so you guys can get an idea of what the nominees are, if that's a thing. So, An American in Paris, Big Fish, Everybody's Talking About Jamie, Follies, Young Frankenstein, The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, Whisper House, Jesus Christ Superstar, Annie the Musical, Dreamgirls, Addams Family, which was on tour, Lady Day, The Girls by Gary Barlow, On the Town, Wonderland, which was another tour, and then 42nd Street. I'm pretty sure that's it. If I've missed out any, I'm sorry, but I can't. I've gone through my vlogs like multiple times trying to figure out. It's a good thing that I vlog, guys, because otherwise I'd have forgotten all the shows that I've seen. But I think that's it. So a pretty good list, like a pretty solid list. I feel like 2017 was a really good year actually for new musicals. The only show that I wish I'd seen in 2017 that I didn't manage to see, I was gonna originally, but then previews got cancelled, like the first 2 weeks of them, and that's Hamilton. I had tickets for like one of the first previews in the first week, and then they got cancelled, and then yeah, I couldn't get to see it in 2017, which is fine. I'm seeing it later this month, so look out for that, the vlog for that. It should be very exciting, but obviously because of that I can't include Hamilton because I haven't seen it yet at this point of filming. But anyway, I did, like I said, enjoy most of these shows. There isn't any show on this list I didn't like at all. I liked things about every single one of them, and it was actually hard to do a top 5, I'm not gonna lie, because like I said, none of these shows like jump out at me as being like a show that I like really loved. For instance, the year before, I can't remember actually, maybe it might have been 2015. 2015 I fell in love with Bendy Like Beckham, and that became like a show that I really loved. In 2013 or 12 I was like very much in love with Singing in the Rain. But I feel like 2017 I just, yeah, like I said, I liked all these shows, but none of them were like, oh, amazing. I feel like I'm repeating myself now, sorry. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into my top 5. At number 5, and I don't even know if this necessarily counts as a musical, but I've put Lady Day. I saw Lady Day back in, I think, June it was, and it starred the phenomenal Audrey McDonald, who I'm a massive fan of. I'd actually seen her just a few months before that in a concert, and that was phenomenal as well. But it's a one-woman show, and she plays Billie Holiday, and the whole show, I'm pretty sure there wasn't an interval, it was like a one-act thing. It's just like her doing a concert. It's one of Billie Holiday's last ever concerts, and it's very much about her and what she goes through throughout that concert, and through that you see like snippets of her life and how hard it was for her and how crazy it was for her, and honestly, it was so fascinating to watch it. Like, I didn't know much about Billie Holiday's life, so for me it was just interesting to learn that. But also, Audrey McDonald as a performer is just phenomenal, and obviously I already knew that her voice was phenomenal. I knew that she was an incredible actress, but for her to portray another character and do it so well, like, she was completely Billie Holiday. The way she was singing was completely different to her normal soprano voice. Like, her voice just sounded like Billie Holiday. She was just like, when you were watching her on stage, it wasn't watching Audrey McDonald, it was watching Billie Holiday. It was crazy. And for that alone, just for like Audrey McDonald's talent and the fact that she was able to do that, and the fact that I honestly, in that hour and a half or whatever it was, I genuinely felt like I was completely transformed into a different world, a different time, and I was so engrossed by the whole thing. It has to be my top 5. Like, it's not a show that I would have gone to see again, and to be honest, it did have a very short run anyway. It wasn't meant to be like a long runner, but it was just very unique, and I've never seen anything like that, and I feel like only someone like Audrey McDonald could have pulled it off, and she did so well, and it was her West End debut as well, so I have to, for that alone again, list that in my top 5. So there you go, Lady Day. The full title is Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, but yeah, that's my number 5 favourite musical of 2017. Then at number 4, and Lord have mercy, this was a very difficult one. Like, there was so many musicals on here that I really enjoyed, but at number 4, I've put Big Fish. Now, we only saw Big Fish towards the end of last year, and it was at the Other Palace Theatre, and it was a show that I didn't know anything about. I believe it's a film, so it's based on a film, but I hadn't seen the film before I went to see it, and I still haven't seen the film, so I really didn't know anything about the show. It just had a really good cast, and I normally tend to love the shows that the Other Palace Theatre puts on, so I was just very intrigued, and I went along. And honestly, if you watch my vlog from it, I was genuinely quite confused throughout the first act, but at the same time, I was talking to my friend Rakaya about this. Even though I was confused and at times I wasn't sure what was happening, I was so engrossed in it, and I was like, I didn't feel bored at all. I was so into the show, and I was so fascinated by the whole thing, and I think that's because the actors, the performers, were so good in it. Like, every single character and performer in that show was so, in my opinion, well cast. And I think I had like really good seats for it as well. I think I was in the front row or something, so I was, again, very much felt like I was part of the action. But and maybe it's the fact that it was confusing that made me love it so much, because I constantly wanted to find out more and see more. And honestly, towards the end of it, Act 2, obviously by the end of Act 2 I understood what was happening and it was fine, everything became clear, but I felt very emotional, and it was a show that I still think about, and I think that's how I normally try and decide what my top favourite musicals are, shows that still make me think about them like months later. And for me, Big Fish, surprisingly, it's been about a couple of months now, and I still think about it, and I still remember how I felt when I was watching it as well. Like, I felt so many emotions, different emotions, like randomly. I'm not completely sure what some of the things meant, but what I love most about it is that it made me think. Like, that night I thought about it so much. Like, I came home, I went online, I looked at reviews, just wanted to see what people thought of it, and because it's quite a deep message, to be fair, and it's about grief as well, and loss, and dealing with things like that, and family and parents, and I don't know, I just thought it was done very well. It's a confusing show, quite crazy at times, but a beautiful show with a really big heart. And it was a really good production as well. I believe Big Fish obviously originally was in America on Broadway, and this was a very small scale production of it compared to what they had on Broadway, and they changed it quite a lot as well. But I liked it, and I would go and see it again if they ever put it on again. The cast for me was what made it, so there you go. Big Fish is my number 4 favourite musical of 2017. Then at number 3 I've put The Young Frankenstein. Now, it's funny because on the day I'm filming this, I've actually just come back from seeing The Young Frankenstein for the second time. So I saw it for the first time on the press night in October 2017. Loved it. You should go and check out my vlog for it to find out exactly how I felt about it and stuff, and more details. But then I saw it again today and loved it just as much. I was really worried actually that seeing it today might change my opinion of it, and maybe I wouldn't enjoy it as much, because that's what normally happens with comedies. Sometimes only the first time is funny and the second time around is not as funny because you already know all the jokes. But nope, I still loved it. I still found it hilarious. I still think it's a brilliant show. Is it the best show I've ever seen? No. Is it the most unique show I've ever seen? No. Is it the most amazing show I've ever seen? Again, no. I don't think there's anything in the show that's particularly unique or new, or something that you can, like, I don't know, celebrate. No, none of these things. It's just a very fun show, and a good show. A good, funny show, and you know, sometimes you need that in the West End. And it's crazy, like the things that happen in Young Frankenstein are mad. Like, so many crazy things happen, so many weird things happen. It's bonkers, it really is. But it's got a phenomenal cast, and Diane Pilkington is in it as well, and you guys know how I feel about her. I love Diane Pilkington. I think she's one of the best performers of our time, the best musical theatre performer I've ever seen anyway, and she really does shine in Young Frankenstein, as she has done in all the other shows she's ever been in, and all the other cast members as well, like Hadley Fraser as Young Frankenstein himself, and I think Ross Noble's in there. Basically, it's a really strong cast, and it's such a funny show, and it's a good production as well, and it just doesn't take itself seriously. So if you ever want a fun night out, if you're in a silly mood and you just want to laugh, or just like want some light-hearted fun, but good quality light-hearted fun, because some shows that are comedies can be a bit like, like, what, you know, just not very clever. Whereas I feel like Young Frankenstein is actually a very intelligent and clever, funny show. So yeah, I like it. I don't think there's like a perfect show. Like I said, there are things that are wrong with it, but it doesn't matter. Overall, it does what it wants to do. It does what its goal is, basically. And the goal of this show, I think, is to make people happy and laugh, and it does that. And both times I've seen it, the audience response has been amazing. So yep, Young Frankenstein is my number 3. Now my number 2 is another Other Palace production, and that is Whisper House. Whisper House, the musical that I first saw in April of 2017, and then I went back twice more to see it again, and it was only on for a very short, limited amount of time. I think it was on for like 2 or 3 months, as again most shows are at the Other Palace Theatre, but I loved it so much the first time round that I had to go again. I went with my mum the second time around, and my mum loved it as well, so we ended up going twice in the week just before it closed. And Whisper House, Lord have mercy, quite an underrated show, I feel like, although when it came out it did get some pretty good reviews. I'm just looking at some of the reviews that you know, people did of it. What's on Stage gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it got good reviews, but I feel like it wasn't talked about that much. And basically it's a show about a child and his aunt and the Second World War and the difficulties of that time, I guess, and a lighthouse and ghosts and family guilt and child abandonment, little things like that. There's so many themes actually in that show that were touched upon. That's why I really loved it. I felt like it was a very deep show, and if you know me, I love a good deep show. Like, I love shows that make me think. That's why I loved Big Fish. But Whisper House was just on another level for me. It's by the same people that made Spring Awakening, which is a show that I've never seen, believe it or not, but now I'd really like to see Spring Awakening as well, because I feel like, you know, I love Whisper House, so I'd probably like that as well. The music for this was really good. It was rock music mainly, and I still have most of the songs stuck in my head. I was singing one of them actually earlier to Rakaya, who saw it with me for the first time. She only saw it once, so she couldn't remember some of them, but I thought it was beautiful. It was a small cast. Again, Diane Pilkington was in this show as well. She played the role of the aunt, and she was phenomenal in it. Like, so heartbreaking, her performance, but also very funny as well at times. Simon Lipkin was in it, Simon Bailey, I believe, Neve Perry. It was a really good cast. Like I said, small cast, but really good. And yeah, I just felt like the way the Other Palace Theatre had transformed that theatre as well for this production into that time period during the World War, and there was like a lighthouse, and sorry about the noise outside, there was a lighthouse, and it was just beautifully done. And yeah, the band was on stage around it, and the ghosts, the way the ghosts were played, it was so thought-provoking, it was so beautiful, it made me feel all the emotions. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I thought the cast as well, it was a top-notch cast. I can't believe I just used that word, but it really was. It was the people who were in it, like I said, small group of actors, but a very talented group of them. I can't remember, there's somebody else in it as well who played the Japanese guy, but I can't remember his name, and I'm really sorry, but he was also fantastic. It was my first time seeing him in any show, and he was great. It was a fantastic show, basically, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It's one of the very few musicals, actually, that stayed with me so much since I saw it back in like May of last year. And believe it or not, I mean, I haven't talked about my number 1 yet, but I think about this show more than I think about my number 1 favourite show, because even though I think my number 1 deserves this number 1 spot, because whatever reasons I'll talk about in a second, my number 1 isn't as deep. It didn't touch me as much as Whisper House did. Whisper House really touched me and made me think a lot, and I feel like that its themes that it explored were just very close to just life in general. So Whisper House at the Other Palace Theatre, number 2. So finally, at number 1, as my number 1 favourite musical of 2017, we have, and this may come as a surprise to you, I don't know, The Secret Diary of Adrian Moore, aged 13 3/4. Now this was at the Menu Chocolate Factory, and I only got to see it because of one of my lovely viewers, Andy. So again, Andy, if you're watching this, thank you so much. He had a spare ticket. He'd already seen the show, I think, twice, but he couldn't make it down for his third visit, and he asked me if I wanted to go. We had 2 spare tickets, sorry, and he kindly gifted them to me, so thank you so much, because I probably would not have got a chance to go and see this otherwise. Like I said, it just wasn't on my radar, and also I'm pretty sure it was pretty sold out, especially towards the end. I saw it, like, I saw around the last ever performance of it. I think it was the last matinee maybe, and wow, I loved it. So this was at the Menu Chocolate Factory, again one of my favourite theatres. Most of the shows I've seen at the Menu have been shows that I've not necessarily enjoyed, I've still really respected, or have seen things in them that I really liked. And this was just such a big surprise for me. I had no clue what it was going to be about. Obviously now I've realised that it's based on a young adult novel, or a young adult novel series by Sue Townsend, and like, you can read the books if you want to. I'm not sure if I'd want to now, because like I said, I'm not a young adult really anymore. I'm an adult, unfortunately. I might still do, but the musical itself is about Adrian, who's 13 3/4, and like, you basically get a snippet of his life. So you kind of see him from just before he turns 13, I believe, and then he kind of grows up. You see him at school, you see him with his family problems, his school problems. It's very simple, honestly. Like, the story is nothing special, but I feel like it's such a perfect plot for young people, like young adults, which is why obviously it was so popular. I'm guessing the book series, because everyone's been through young adultness. You know, we've all been teenagers at one point, even if we aren't anymore, so we can all relate to it. But what I loved most about this show was that, firstly, the songs. Yeah, the songs were great, very catchy, really well done. The cast was great. I recognised some of the people, but not everyone. But the kids in it as well, like the guy who we had on as Adrian, I can't remember his name at the moment. If you want to find out more, go and watch out my vlog. But he was fantastic. All the children cast were great. The adult cast was great. It was just a really great cast, and you could tell that they were loving life as well. They enjoyed performing. But yeah, what I loved most was the humour in it. I thought it was so funny, and in a good way, in like a very balanced way. So none of the jokes for me fell flat. Every single joke that was put in the show was great, in my opinion. Was done very well, and was also delivered very well by the cast members. And this is something that I really appreciated, because it's something that I think doesn't normally work in most shows. Even in shows that I go and see a lot, like Wicked, for instance, there are some comedy moments in there that get lost quite often. Like, people just don't deliver them very well. Whereas in this show, Secret Diary of Adrian, it was every single moment that was meant to get a laugh got a laugh. Every single moment that was meant to make you feel something, or feel sad or emotional, you know, achieved that as well. I just feel like it was such a perfectly executed show, and done so well, and I really enjoyed my time there. Like, I think it was like a 2.5-hour show with an interval and everything, but Lord have mercy, time went by like this, and I really didn't want it to end. Like, I loved it. I went with my friend Jess, and we both loved it. So if you want to watch the vlog for that, again, I'll leave it down below, because we were both like, wow, this is so much fun. Like, and I'm just sad that I only got to see it on its last week, because if I could, I would have gone again, and I kind of wanted to come back at one point. I feel like the show, the West End, or London just generally needs a show like that. I know there are quite a few shows that are like kind of more family orientated, but I feel like this show wasn't even necessarily just for kids. It was a show that was like, yeah, kids can enjoy, but also it had so much humour for adults. It was just so fun, and because it was a show about, like, you know, an ordinary life in a way, you know, going to school, bullies, things that you have to deal with at school, family life, divorces, things like that, like very normal things that most people would have experienced in some way or another. It's something that everyone can relate to, and I think that's what was so beautiful about it. And it had a big heart, and it was so funny, and oh, I loved it so much, guys. I really did. And again, thank you, Andy, for giving me the opportunity to go and see it. I hope I get to see it again at some point, or in some way. But yeah, there you go. Secret Diary of Adrian Moore is my #1 favourite show of 2017. I do have to mention that just because some shows didn't make it into my top 5 doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy them. There are definitely some shows I couldn't list into my top 5 that I still really like. Like I said, there was not a single show or not a single musical that I didn't like that I saw in 2017. Every single one of them. Like, I'm literally looking at them now. I saw 16 new musicals, and I had to choose 5 of them as my top 5. So it was quite a hard task, but like, yeah, I mean, I saw Annie, the new production of it, that was really good. I saw Dreamgirls, I loved that, obviously. None of these shows were, like, I loved as much as I love the ones that I've put in my top 5, basically. Let's put it that way. But I still did like most of the shows that I saw. and I'm looking forward to new shows in 2018 now. Like, I'm very much looking forward to it. Hamilton obviously is coming up for me at the end of this month, which is I'm hoping is going to live up to the hype, and I'm going to love it as much as everyone else seems to. And then I've got so many other new shows that I'm excited to see throughout the year. So yeah, leave comments down below please if you want to, and let me know what your #1 favourite musical was of 2017 that you saw. It doesn't have to necessarily be a new musical that came out last year. It could just be a show that you saw for the first time. So it could even be Wicked. It could be a show that's been in the West End for ages but you saw it for the first time last year. That still counts. I'd be interested to hear your opinions and your thoughts and your list, and let me know what show you're looking forward to the most for 2018, because for me at the moment it's definitely Hamilton, just because I feel like I need to finally see this. I've been waiting too long. But yeah, thank you so much for watching guys. Your support and love and everything, and patience as well, because I feel like I've been slacking off a bit recently on YouTube. It means a lot to me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!